of us have some memories associated with those school supply shops, the mom and pop stores, 문구점, that's what they're called, right? In front of your elementary school, especially if you grew up here or if you live in Korea. You may have rushed in there to get your school supplies at the very last minute, or maybe, you might have lingered there after school for some snacks. But these are fast becoming a thing of the past. According to the industry, as of this past January, there were just 7,800 of these small school supply retailers or 문구점 across the nation. 5 years ago, there were over 9,500. And those in the industry say that about 400 to 500 are closing their doors every year. The story is more or less the same for other businesses that cater to young customers, those spots that many of us have fond memories of. What about those snack stands like 분식점? They have gone down by 471 stores just in the last year, and over 800 PC rooms have also shut down. These businesses will unfortunately only continue to go down in number as their main customer base, I'm talking about elementary school students, well, that number, as we know, is rapidly declining. And what's more, they are facing some stiff competition from large chain retailers, as well as a rising number of these unmanned stores. There's one right across the street from where I live, and it's highly popular, the unmanned store, where kids go and get their supplies. It's just a different era. On top of that, public schools, they purchase supplies in bulk and give them out to students, which, while convenient for the schools and parents, well, they tend to send a big blow to these types of businesses. So it seems inevitable that these stores will kind of fade away into history sometime sooner rather than later. But of course, we're also talking about people's livelihoods, people that own these 문구점. So some municipal education offices are directing their respective schools to purchase their book supplies from these retailers. So hopefully there will always be some sort of way for these mom and pop stores to coexist with the schools. That's what we're hoping for. All right, today for a text topic, let's talk about firsts. First day of school, first day of work, first day of whatever it is that you can remember. What were you feeling? Were you feeling excited? Were you feeling nervous? Worried? Were there butterflies in your stomach? So let's talk about all those first. 자, 여러분의 출근 첫날, 혹은 초등학교 첫날 기억하세요? Or even if you went to university, 대학교 신입 때 그 첫날, 그 설레임, 불안감, 걱정. 네, 어떤 기분이었는지. So let me know how you were feeling and all about your first days, whether it's for school, for work, or anything else. Let me know. You can send in your messages through our BEFM live stream live chat on YouTube. Also, pound 9050, that's going to cost you 100 won. You can reach me through our Kakao Talk channel. You can just type in BEFM to look that up as well, or our app comment board. Let's look at the daily lineup for today. We have Sports Insider, that is with Andrew, and we have Bonnie with The Health. For our special interview today, to go hand in hand with what we're talking about today, the fact that certain businesses that support schools, related to schools, are dwindling. We are going to tackle, once again, South Korea's record birth rate because we have the new numbers. And we're so used to the 0.78, well, it's now 0.72. So let's get a grip on reality and what this means for South Korea. That's coming up in hour number 2, and I'll be back with today's headlines. It is now 6 past the hour, and these are today's headlines. Government takes steps to suspend licenses of some 7,000 defiant trainee doctors. The health ministry said yesterday it started taking procedures to suspend the licenses of around 7,000 trainee doctors who have defied the government's order to go back to work, warning that such punishment would be irreversible. Constitutional Court upholds 52-hour workweek system. In a unanimous decision Thursday last week, the Constitutional Court said the Labor Standards Act specifying the 52-hour workweek has legitimate and appropriate purposes as it guarantees workers time to rest by reducing real working hours and discouraging overtime work on holidays. Apple hit with landmark $2 billion EU antitrust fine. The European Union, or EU, announced Monday local time that it was imposing a $2 billion fine on Apple for preventing rival music streaming services from telling iPhone users that they could find cheaper ways to subscribe outside of Apple's App Store. Trump wins Colorado ballot disqualification case at U.S. Supreme Court. The U.S. Supreme Court handed Donald Trump a major victory on Monday local time, barring states from disqualifying candidates for federal office under a constitutional provision, including insurrection and reversing Colorado's exclusion of him from its ballot. France become world's first country to enshrine abortion rights in Constitution. France became the world's first country to enshrine abortion rights in its constitution on Monday local time, the culmination of an effort that began in direct response to the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. These are today's headlines. In the studio now for Busan Updates. Let's say hi to her first. Good morning.
Good morning.
Hey, so today we're talking about first days. So do you remember any special first day, whether it's going back to school, first day of class ever, or, going to your first job, first day on the job? What did it feel like?
I think my most memorable first days are to do with school. Work-wise, it's just in my brain work. But school was really exciting because you're meeting new friends. I do remember kindergarten.
Oh.
Very memorable. I went to kindergarten and I cried the first day.
Oh.
Because we sat down and our teacher, the sweetest lady ever, she's like, all right, everyone, let's write our names on our papers. And I didn't know how to write my name. And I thought everyone else did. And I sat there and I started crying. It's very memorable.
So you still remember that?
I remember it so vividly too.
Really?
I can visualize where my seat was, who I was sitting next to, which was my cousin. I actually went to kindergarten with my cousin. So
with your cousin?
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know how to write Hyunji. Because I didn't use Annie then.
I see.
And that
I had
day
a similar experience where when I first walked into kindergarten, the neighborhood that we lived in at that time, it was a completely, I will just say, Caucasian neighborhood.
Same.
I was the only Asian kid in that entire school, so I walked into kindergarten, and so of course I stuck out like a sore thumb, and I walked in, I was kind of shocked. I'm just like, no one looks like me. No one has almond-shaped eyes. Everybody looks very
I don't think
Caucasian.
I became aware that I was Asian until probably second grade.
Really?
Yeah.
I realized the first day I was just like, I look really different. But my classmates were so nice. So, I have fond memories of my first day as well. All right, we're going to talk about Busan's birth rate, specifically Junggu, which has the lowest fertility rate out of the entire country. Oh my goodness.
Right, quite sad news.
Yes.
Junggu District's birth rate from last year was 0.31, with the very last out of all the municipalities. In all of 2023, there were only 100 babies born out of that specific district.
Wow.
The only other municipality that saw a 0.3 level was Gwanak-gu up in Seoul, which had a 0.38 birth rate. These two districts have actually been competing to be, or rather not to be, in the last place for the past several years.
Because you don't want that as,
that's not
your
a title
thing,
you
right?
want.
This is quite a fall from grace for Junggu, which, as his name suggests, was kind of like the center of the city.
That's right. So between the 1950s and the 80s, Junggu was the center of activity here in Busan, and it was home to the old city hall, the local broadcasting stations, as well as the court. Because war refugees had poured in and then built houses along the mountains, the city actually had to implement a population dispersal policy. But with the government agencies relocating elsewhere in the city, the district definitely did decline with a population of 38,000. It also holds the title for the first municipality whose population fell below the 40,000 level.
Right, but it's not just the sheer population figure, but actually the age of the residents there, right?
Right, so yes, not only that, it is a rapidly aging district where over 30% are aged 65 or older. And then because of its geography of being on this mountainside, it has limited potential for development, which then prevents young people from moving back.
Sure.
The district said that it will provide birth stipends as well as paying for special English lessons for its daycares, of course, to boost the birth rate.
I see. So let's see if this works. But, all the policies thus far not really working. All right. We've been talking about the possible separation of Airbusan from Asiana Airlines with its merger with Korean Air. But in case this separation falls through, the Busan-based airline would have to give up many of its slots, I hear.
Yes, so the Korean Air and Asiana Airlines merger is waiting on the final approval from the U.S. authorities. And it turns out that depending on the conditions, Air Busan may have to give up over 200 of its slots. The slots here refer to the rights of an airline has for landing and takeoff during a set time, which is, of course, a key asset for any airline.
Right.
The Japanese authorities approved the merger on the condition that 4 routes to Seoul and 3 routes to Busan should hand over parts of their slots. That's upon request from their national low-cost carriers. But the thing is, these 3 Busan routes account for 88% of Air Busan's flights to Japan, or up to 224 flights.
Okay.
So if this happens, it would be a major hit on the carrier. This could also hinder Air Busan winning the rights to the new direct flight to Indonesia.
Right, and this could have effects on the new Gadok airport.
It could, as Air Busan is the only Busan-based airline. Those in Busan are calling on local politicians to use their weight within their respective central party leaderships for a solution.
Okay.
And civic groups also called on Busan City for a more active role in this as well.
Hopefully, this will not affect the slots and, of course, the local carrier. Next, people fishing around Busan Port may get drone-delivered food in the near future. Oh, my goodness.
Right.
This sounds like
We are living
fun.
in the future.
We are.
This is going to be possible through the 2024 Drone Demonstration City project that's under the Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, and Transport. The city was selected for this project to receive 500 million won, with another 1 million won of its own budget. The key aspect of this project is drone deliveries, as we said, making use of the city's geographical features. So the service will offer deliveries to vessels and people fishing along Busan Port, including food and fishing gear as well.
Yes.
The city will establish a port drone delivery operation system and infrastructure to provide all of these necessary services. And the city's Digital Economy Innovation Department said that they will develop this technology and then spread it all across the country to help the local drone companies in the process as well.
Oh, I would love to have something drone
right here.
delivered here.
주세요.
All right. Well, thank you for all the updates, Annie. Back to you, the waivers for now on this wet Monday. We're going to talk about first days. The first day of school, the first day of class, whether it's for, I don't know, kindergarten, elementary, middle, high school, even university, or that first day on the job. What did it feel like? 자, 우리 웨이버님들 직장, 첫날 그 느낌, 첫 학교, 첫 개강, 그 설렘이 있을 거예요, 그렇죠? Try to describe what you were feeling. 그 불안감, 설레임, 걱정 다 아마 섞여서 느꼈을 수도 있지만, let me know what you're thinking about and your memories regarding those first days. Here's Annie with our traffic and weather.
Good morning, everyone. Here's your weather and traffic for the first hour. Wet roads always seem to signal busy roads. There's congestion on Pyeongno from Wondong Interchange to the Old Panya Tollgate. Likewise, it is backed up on Nakdong-Namno from Myeongji Interchange to Seongsan Junction. And also, it's quite busy on Nuno Samsangdero from Myeongji Underpass to Shino Bridge. Please drive safe. The roads are quite wet this morning. If we switch over to the weather, it's yet another wet morning, as we mentioned, with current temperatures averaging 6 degrees Celsius. Afternoon highs will only creep up to 8 degrees Celsius today. And we are officially entering Gyeongchip of the 24 solar terms today. This is where all things wake up, signaling an entrance into spring. It'll be raining all day. Hopefully this means flowers soon, but up to 20 millimeters of rain is expected, so don't forget your umbrellas before heading out. That's all for now. See you in the second hour.
Check this out.
This is Morning Wave Busan.
Everybody, wait a minute.
This is Morning Wave.
Morning Wave.
You are listening to
Morning Wave.
Morning Wave in Busan.
What show is this?
This is Morning Wave in Busan.
Here we go. Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for us to check in with Haley. Good morning.
Good morning.
You know, before we dive into News Digest, I want to read a message that I was reading to myself personally off air while Annie was doing the traffic and weather. And I think her mic picked up my laugh. This time it wasn't the producer, it was me, I confess. So it's Anna Waver who says, 첫 출근 날 늦을까봐 일찍 간다는 게 너무 일찍 가서요. 1시간 일찍 출근해 버렸어요.
Oh my goodness.
So that's why I was laughing to myself, and then I forgot her mic was on. So anyhow, that's what happens. Live radio. I get that though. The going
Me too.
getting
I was
there
going to say,
early.
are you me? Yeah.
Getting there early, isn't that kind of like...
Of course.
Doesn't everybody know?
Yeah, and then I have, I'm a J. I have to be there like 15 minutes early. I mean, if it's the first day, half an hour early.
Yes.
And then I also factor in the fact that I have a horrible sense of direction. Yeah, I'm like... People consistently know where north is, and I'm like, how? Like, what? Like, unless you drop me at the DMZ, like, there's no way I know where north is. Like, no. So
Yes.
I also factor that in. So sometimes if the stars align and I don't get lost, yeah, I am there about 45 minutes early. And I'm
45
like, well, I brought a book. Yeah,
Thank goodness for that book, right? Hey, first days.
love them. Used
Like-
to love them. I
Okay.
mean, what first day do I have now? But
Okay, but what about like first day of a new relationship?
oh. I'm like,
1일. 그것도 첫날이잖아요.
I'm trying to, trigger the memory of like.
Okay, what
oh.
about school?
Well, schools. I mean, I hated getting up early because I was such not a morning person back then, unlike now.
Yes.
But my producer was like, well, because teachers would make you go around the class and do like self intros, and she was like, she used to hate that. I'm like, I've just never had a problem talking in front of people. Like that's just not
That's
a
just
thing.
Haley.
That's just not a thing that's not an issue that I had. So I was the kid who like went into the class before the teacher. I mean, we all did, but then sat down and looked at the kid next to me like, hey, I'm Haley. Hi. Yeah. So I was that kid.
Oh, I can so imagine that. It's so like, I can see it. See it. All right. We're going to get serious and talk about some news. The government started doling out legal action. They took legal action against trainee doctors who have not yet returned to work, right?
Right. So the papers are going to get filed starting today, basically. So the health ministry yesterday briefed the press saying that the government will take stern and fast action against key figures at the center of this collective action.
Right.
So as of the end of last month, 8,945 trainee doctors had left their respective jobs, 72% of the total. So that is 72% of the total. And of these, only only 565 have returned. So the government received confirmations from 7,854 doctors that they will not abide by the return to work order. So the authorities will conduct, or they have been conducting, on-site inspections and respond to violations of the law based on law and principle. So as I said, the inspections began yesterday, and if the authorities confirm their absence, they will immediately send out notifications starting today.
Yes. We need to know, what kind of penalties are they talking about?
Right. So the Vice Minister of Health and Welfare, Bang Min-soo, said that at least a 3-month medical license suspension will be inevitable. However, it's much more than 3 months because the trainee doctors then won't be able to fulfill their required training period.
Right.
So their whole process of becoming a certified doctor may be delayed by at least a year. Also, such administrative action will stay on their permanent record. And under the revised Medical Act, if a licensed doctor is found guilty and sentenced to a prison sentence or higher, including probation, their license may be revoked except in cases of medical accidents that resulted in a professional negligence resulting in death conviction. So the health ministry could also technically revoke a doctor's license just for partaking in this strike.
Oh, goodness. So that's quite serious, the ramifications, or at least the possible ones. In the meantime, the government wrapped up its survey over universities on their demand for the medical school quota here.
Right. So we don't have the exact numbers yet, but the demand is expected to exceed the figure of 2,000 presented by the government.
Okay.
So the Ministry of Education briefed the press yesterday saying that the figures will be similar to the numbers they've been getting the last years, which had the minimum demand at about 2,100 and maximum going all the way up to 2,800. So once again, the exact figure will come out later today. So universities are seeking to expand their medical school quota, but they are facing opposition from the medical schools themselves.
I
So
see.
the school's position and the med school's positions differ.
Okay.
So for instance, Gyeongsang National University itself applied for their 76-person medical school quota to be expanded to 200, but the medical school itself actually gave the exact opposite opinion.
Oh, okay. So once again, you can see there's just a huge difference of opinions on the two sides. All right. We're going to move on to talk about the economy, more specifically about how household spending fared last year.
Right, so this should come as no surprise to any of us, but it was more expensive last year to be fed.
Yes.
Keep your families fed.
Oh, yes.
So it's all relative to your disposable income, which is basically what you earn minus the fixed costs like housing, interest, and taxes. So for the year 2023, the average household disposable income came to 3.95 million won, so 395만 won per month, which is up by 1.8% previous year.
Okay.
So good, we had more money to spend, except compared to the 2.8% increase in overall income, this is actually a full percentage point lower, which means we then therefore had higher increase in interest and taxes.
Sure.
So, and then the rate of increase for food items, which was up by 6%, processed foods at 6.8%, dining out 6%. This was over triple the increase of your disposable income. So yes, we did make more money in general, but it was far not enough to cover the increase in the cost of food. And then on top of that, of course, we've been talking about this with our experts. Businesses kind of participated in what we may say some shifty practices like shrinkflation and skimpflation. Shrinkflation being where the price kind of remains the same, but hey, why is my ice cream bar, the loaf of bread smaller? And then skimflation is where everything kind of looks the same on the surface, but ingredients may be cheaper. So actually, perhaps maybe partially as a result of that, some food manufacturers had their best year financially last year, showing higher profit increases and of course on backs of exports as well. Right.
Excuse me.
Right. So, of course, that's been the issue on the food front. But going back to the high interest rates, an average household spent 130,000 won on interest rates last year. So that's 13만 won, which is 31% increase from the previous year, and also the highest margin of increase since record-taking began. And of course, that's on top of growing household debt, as high interest rate on high debt account to a bigger number. And by the way, this was true across all income groups, with the lowest 20% of income earners paying 21,000 won in interest, and the highest 20% of income groups paying 254,000 won in interest.
So thanks for going over all the, excuse me, I have something in my throat in the economic news. We're going to go to international news. Tuesday is called Super Tuesday in the U.S. This is a major event in the presidential elections, the lead up to that. So we're going to talk about what this is and what we should be looking for this coming Tuesday.
Right. So first off, what is Super Tuesday? So this is basically when a bunch of primary races and caucuses happen to determine the respective Republican and Democratic parties' candidates. So by the way, exact numbers, 15 Republican races and 16 Democratic races are happening across the United States.
Yes.
And this, in the past, that's been the watershed moment that determines whether a candidate basically lives or dies, at least in the election. So for instance, in 2016, the Super Tuesday back then gave Trump the candidacy for the Republican Party. But of course, that's kind of that's completely different from what's going on this year, because at least for Trump, he has won every single race except for one so far.
Exactly. So it does seem that it's going to be another Biden versus Trump. It looks very likely. Many people are wondering, is there a point to this year's Super Tuesday?
Well, Democratic process, you do need to get through all the races.
Yes.
But the thing is, the two candidates are not without their own challenges. And the exact breakup of, the demographics that vote for them or don't, it could signal who may win or who has a better chance of winning come November. For Trump, there's still the Nikki Haley factor, who is, she's still running. She's actually fresh off of her very first victory in Washington, D.C. from Sunday. Of course, D.C., it's not a major win because in terms of the actual presidential race, the U.S. Capitol has always voted for a Democratic president, including a landslide 92% victory for Biden back in 2020. However, Haley does say that she will keep running, so we're going to see if she can pull off another win in any one of the 15 states, or whether it will be kind of the last blow for her.
Right. I do want to touch upon Joe Biden. He's pretty much running uncontested, correct?
Yes, but his biggest challenge is Joe Biden
himself.
It's basically Joe Biden against non-Joe Biden votes. Or rather, you're going to be seeing this a lot, uncommitted votes.
Yes.
So in the United States, unlike our ballot in Korea, where you just have the candidates that are approved by the National Election Commission, there is a blank spot where you can actually write in the names of candidates. Of course, that leaves some jokes like, characters being written in. But in Michigan last week, over 100,000 voters wrote uncommitted, saying that, yes, they're Democrats, but they're really not committed to Biden. Ooh. So that means basically, are they going to vote for Trump? Most likely not, but they right now refuse to vote for Biden. And actually, uncommitted took 2 delegates. Yeah, that's official. So this is actually a reflection of the Biden administration's Israel policy, because Michigan has some of the largest Muslim and Arab American population in the country. And of course, there are people who have lost family members in Gaza. Right. And they have enough members to sway the election come November. So uncommitted, we'll have to see.
Well, it's not over until it's over. So we'll see what happens in November. In the meantime, thank you for reporting on all the news, and we'll check in with you in hour number 2. Thank you, Haley.
See you in a bit.
All right. It is time for our first song. A little breather here is Like It Like That by Jody Harsh.
Like that.
Welcome back. Did you guys just see me spit out my throat drop that Haley so nicely brought me? I'll save that for later. All right. We've been talking about the decline of the 문구점, the small school supply stores. So you may be wondering, then where are parents and kids getting their school supplies? Well, like with everything else in life these days, online. But as convenient as these same-day or next-day deliveries may be, they do come with a rather significant carbon footprint. If you've ever ordered anything online, you know this comes with so much packaging. They overdo it, right? With the bubble wrap and the cardboard boxes and the plastic bags. Of course, we appreciate it because, you know, your products come in one piece. That's great, but there's a lot that comes with the packaging. And then the carbon footprint that comes from the process of the sorting and delivery itself. According to the authorities, the number of parcels will exceed 4.5 billion for the for last year, the highest figure ever. And some statistics say that an average person orders parcel deliveries, 85 times per year. So the Environment Ministry is cracking down on overpackaging to go into effect at the end of April, although the details are still up in the air. They're being discussed. But for us, the consumers, of course, there are times when these parcel deliveries, well, sometimes are our only option. But all these factors are certainly food for thought as we kick off the new school year this week. Now it's back to our text topic. It is all about your first day. First day at school, first day on the job, or maybe as Leslie, she pointed out, sending her little one off to their first day of school. How's that? I talked to actually a mom that did that yesterday. She sent her first one off to school, and she was saying she was so nervous, and she cried at the entrance ceremony. 입학식, she was like kind of crying, and she was like beside herself, and I was just like, chill, it's okay. You know, she's gonna be fine. But anyhow, I want to know about your first step. 여러분의 첫날, 무슨 첫날? 학교, 첫날, 개강, 혹은 what about this? 출근 첫날. Oh, the 설레임, the 불안감, the 걱정, all that. Why am I mixing? I'm sorry. 어떤 기분이었는지 이야기 나누고 있는데요. Let's go to some of your messages. Oh, so many messages about first days. So as I was saying, Leslie, she said my most nervous first day was actually dropping my daughter off for her first day of kindergarten. My heart was in my throat because she was so small compared to the others, and she was very shy. Oh. And so that's why she was so nervous that that she would be upset and etc. And she was fine. But Leslie apparently cried in her car for 15 minutes after she went inside. Aw, I think that's many of the parents out there when you first send your, you know, especially your firstborn or your only child or even your third maybe, when you send them off to school, it just, yeah, it brings up the emotions. Yes. And also, I do want to share my personal story yesterday. I went to first day of class yesterday. I get excited on first day of class every semester. And then some of the 신입생, the new students, assuming they went straight from high school to university, 이제 신입생들이 2005년생이에요, 여러분. I was kind of surprised. I'm like, whoa, they're getting like, you know, they're really young. So I had a really, really good first day yesterday, meeting all my new students. They were so excited. And I was so happy that many of them, they came to me after class and they were asking questions. And I love that when people do that. It's such a great time of the year. All right, I'll be back with our hot clip. For our hot clip today, I am going to cover a story out of Haiti. I believe in Korea we call it IT. This is a big one. State of emergency, a 3-day state of emergency and a nighttime curfew after armed gangs stormed the country's 2 biggest jails, allowing more than, some reports say 3,000, others say 4,000 dangerous criminals, including murderers and kidnappers, out onto the streets. Here's a clip.
Turning to a dangerous situation in Haiti where the government has declared a state of emergency after an explosion of violence, including 2 major prison breaks. Armed gunmen attacked the country's biggest prison over the weekend, allowing some of Haiti's most notorious gang leaders to escape.
Haiti is spiraling. A wave of violence reaching a boiling point after a jailbreak in the country's biggest prison on Saturday. Prison authorities say the attack, carried out by armed gangs, led to the escape of a large number of the 4,000 prisoners held there. On Sunday, journalists roamed the normally overcrowded facility where its cells were eerily empty, with no guards in sight, the injured and the dead laying nearby. At least 5 people were killed at the prison, where now fewer than 100 inmates remain. A second prison that holds another 1,400 inmates was also stormed. Saturday's siege came as a shock even to Haitians accustomed to living under the constant threat of violence, and is yet another example of how criminal gangs have gained more control of the country since the assassination of former President Jovenel Moïse in 2021. Jacqueline Charles is an award-winning Caribbean correspondent for the Miami Herald.
Because what you've seen in the last couple of days is all the gangs practically have risen up.
Since Thursday, gangs have targeted police stations and fired shots near the international airport, even forcing American Airlines to suspend flights yesterday and today.
The people inside Port-au-Prince, I mean, honestly, they're trapped in the concerns of the rapidly deteriorating situation is that we're seeing this perfect storm and not knowing where it's going to lead the Haitian people.
And you have to keep in mind, Haiti has been devastated by storms, earthquakes, and now this. There's already been unrest, but definitely not good, the state of emergency. So we will continue to follow the story. This was your Hawklet for today.
Stay tuned. You're listening to Morning Wave in Busan.
It is time for Andrew, the Sports Insider. Good morning.
It's not my first day.
Yeah, are you sure?
Yeah, well, sometimes I feel like it is.
Yes, but you know, you had an eventful first day. Do you want to share?
Oh, yeah. So my youngest, Eden, he was off to grade 1 yesterday. Yay. So it was interesting to see a lot of the parents, and it's funny how you were talking about, you know, individuals being nervous and things like that on their first days. For the first day of school, especially grade 1,
yes,
I always find the parents are way more nervous than the children. And they possibly cause any nervousness that their children have.
That's true.
Because I'm walking to school. Obviously, I've already gone through this with my oldest son. Mm-hmm. So a little bit more of a veteran in it, I guess. But I was kind of joking with them, laughing, making jokes. And you see some of the other parents are stone-faced, walking, oh my gosh, what are we going to do?
It's probably their firstborn.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And you can see a few tears in some parents' eyes. But, you know, it was good. He was really excited. And he's usually pretty cool as a cucumber. And then it was funny. The night before, he was good. On the walk to school, he was a lot quieter than usual. And I was like, hey, Bob, what's going on? And he's like, oh, nothing. And then when we got there, and he realized, like, because they went into the gym, and
yes,
you know, they were sitting all together, and there were so many people. I think it was a bit overwhelming at first,
yes,
especially compared to what he was used to in kindergarten.
Right.
But you know, the day was short, so he was happy with that because it's not a long day.
That's true.
But he's excited to get back today because he's like, I just want to go to my classroom and like see my friends. And I'm like, all right,
that's so
cool.
Cute.
We'll see how long that lasts, but that's, you know. But yeah, overall, good.
Yes. Being excited for school. That's
yes,
the best.
100%.
All right, we're going to get into some sports news. What do you have for us?
All right, so we're going to get things going with a sport we haven't really talked about, or I don't think I've ever talked about on this show. And figure skating we have, but not the junior figure skating side of things.
Okay.
So we're going into the World Junior Figure Skating Championships, which wrapped up over the weekend in Taipei. Going into the event, Korea were strong favorites to bring home a couple of medals. There were some questions in two of the other events, but the big question was, what color would those medals be?
Yes.
All right, and that's the big thing here. So 15-year-old figure skater So Min-kyu kind of put that to bed when he claimed the men's title.
15.
I know. It's absolutely amazing when you see these. I call them children because they are, but they're doing things that most adults can.
Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. So he became the first male Korean athlete to win this title. Now that's regardless of men or women. It's been 18 years since a Korean skater has claimed victory at the competition. Any guesses of who that person might have been?
The Queen, Kim
Kim
right?
Yeon-ah, for sure. Back in 2006.
2006, that's like ages ago now.
It's making me feel way older than I
Yes.
should. Prior to his victory, the highest achievement was from Cha Jun-hwan in 2017, who finished 5th. So that's a major jump right there. Now, on the women's side of things, this is where a lot of people were expecting a possible gold as well. And this is from 15-year-old Shin Ji-ah, won her third straight silver medal. She's also only 15. And this is her third straight silver at 15.
Started at like 12.
Exactly.
Right.
She was on Mondays. She was obviously disappointed that she did not get gold, and she responded or asked if she was disappointed. Sorry, and she responded to the media saying, "At least I won the short program." So she was at the beginning. She was the top person in this, and she said, "I think there's still hope. I want to try even harder to reach the higher place,
which is first."
Exactly. So she lost to Mao Shimada of Japan.
Mao.
And this looks a lot like the rivalry between Kim Yeon-ah and Mao Asada, which they battled out for years.
Yes.
It was first, someone was second, then the other one was first, and then they were second.
It was so amazing, that competition.
I hope that this does continue. Obviously, the rivalry between the two countries for sure, but it makes that there's not just one individual who's always winning the events.
I love it when there's a rivalry. I don't care about the countries. It's like it keeps them motivated and it makes them perform even better.
And it's usually in these cases, it might seem like it's cutthroat on the ice, but behind the scenes, they're all friends. They all get along very well, which is great.
Yes, that's why I love sports.
Exactly.
Well, on the senior side, Korea already has, for the ladies, and we have Cha Jun-hwan on the male side as well.
Exactly.
So we will keep an eye on the youngsters for you. Moving on, let's talk about some soccer, aka football. So it was a busy, busy weekend in the Premier League.
It was for sure. Now it's kind of in its home stretch. I believe they just finished round 27 or 28 of the league.
Yes.
So, only about 10 games left in the season. With 3 teams still in the title race. Now, nothing against the other teams, but it doesn't look like they're really going to be able to catch them.
True.
Liverpool were able to squeeze out a win in the 99th minute. As a Liverpool fan, I was watching this.
99.
A lot of expletives that were coming out of my mouth, and I was like, what is wrong with you guys? Like, my wife's like, hey, keep it down out there. The kids are trying to sleep. All right. Over Nottingham Forest to maintain their lead at the top.
Yes.
Man City were able to keep that lead to only 1 point with the thrilling 3-1 win over local rivals Manchester United. If you haven't seen the highlights for that one, some amazing goals.
Yes.
And this morning, I woke up to not much of a surprise because Arsenal have been on fire, on a heater, if you want to call it.
Yes.
Beating Sheffield United 6-0. It was 5-0 at half. 6 different goal scorers. One of those was an own goal. And something here for the Gunners fans out there. Since January 20th, in 7 Premier League games, the team has scored 31 goals. Arsenal have. And that's also in that mix. They played Liverpool and Newcastle, and 7 of those goals came in those 2 games alone.
So they're up there.
Yeah, so moving on here to something maybe our listeners might be a little more interested in. Son Heung-min and Spurs were trying to keep their top 4 hopes alive on Saturday against Crystal Palace. Let's get to some highlights from that game.
It's got the better of Anderson. And again, still Johnson. Timo Werner! Relief and reward! Madison, bit of time and space. Romero! Christian Romero helps turn And it's broken for Herminson, who loves racing through one-on-one. And that's why that might put this game to bed.
Did you purposely raise the sound on the last goal?
No, it's really.
No, I'm just saying. I mean, all three were loud.
Yeah.
But you could hear.
Well, I think it was, the commentary I get is from Spurs TV
Right.
On the tube. And, I think their announcers realized that if someone put that in, it was going to be 3-1, and then it was pretty much over.
Right.
Especially, it was a very frustrating game for Spurs against Crystal Palace. I was back and forth between two games, so it was kind of like I was angry at the Liverpool game and going back to, I was like, this is just a double dose of pain.
Yes.
But yeah, so, they left it late to be able to keep that fifth spot and also that the hunt for the top four alive. And it was, the final 10 minutes where they're able to put 3 goals in the back of the net.
Yes.
And that was Son Heung-min's first goal in 2 months.
Yes.
Now, it does sound like a stretch, but it was also the Asian Cup was mixed in there as well.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then maybe, he also had that drama that was going on, so that might have affected him. It seems like they've made up since then. So it's
so it's done and over with,
all
right? All right. So let's shift some gears to college basketball. So we have some big news coming out of the NCAA.
Yeah, we don't usually report on the NCAA too often unless there's something huge going on, and this is definitely one of those times. Hawkeyes superstar guard Caitlin Clark became the NCAA's Division I all-time leading scorer in basketball. And I love when I'm able to say this and say the all-time leading scorer, and you can stop it at that. There's no male or female.
Oh, there's no adjective.
It is of all time. Which is unbelievable. In a win over the Iowa State Buckeyes, a lot of eyes going on here. Hawkeyes, Buckeyes on Sunday. Passing Hall of Famer Pistol Pete Maravich, Clark entered the game needing 18 points to pass Maravich for the all-time mark of 3,667 points. Just seems like she's done it before. She set the record with a pair of free throws in the final second of the first half. Now, in a short halftime interview, she said the record wasn't on her mind at the time. I don't really believe that.
It was there.
Definitely.
Yes.
She was not really, but when they announced it and everybody screamed, I definitely knew. Clark finished the game with 35 points, 9 assists, and 6 rebounds. Yeah, as the number 6, Iowa beat the number 2 Iowa State 93-83, giving her a career total of 3,685 points.
Yes.
Now, the NCAA Division I basketball scoring record previously was set in 1970.
Oh, my gosh.
So that record's been there for just a few years.
Yes.
By Pistol Pete Maravich, the Hall of Famer known for his creative playmaking, outside shooting, and mop-top hair. I guess everything was a bit different in basketball at that time. So a lot of people are, saying this is apples to oranges in comparison. I also think the game has changed a lot, but also the game has changed that, you're seeing this come out of the women's division, which is absolutely amazing.
And people have to keep in mind why this is so important is because NCAA means this is college ball, meaning you only have maximum 4 years to get to those points.
Totally.
Well, for pro ballers, you infinitely until you're out and you're retired.
Definitely.
Right. And so speaking of some basketball greats, what about LeBron James? I hear he had some few comments.
Yeah. So after the record-breaking performance on Sunday, James gave her some praise here. Now he said that the feat represents a milestone moment in the history of women's sports and has changed the way people view basketball. And his quote specifically says, I think Caitlin is having a lot of us look at this sport that is such an American institution in a different way. And I think that, when you're getting praise like this from, some argue the best basketball player of all time, who himself just passed 40,000 career points.
Yes, as a pro basketball player. Yes.
I don't know. It's pretty unbelievable. She also went on to say after this that she will enter the WNBA draft as well, made herself eligible.
Okay.
So we'll see how that goes. I don't know if she would be taken number 1 or whatnot. I guess, possibly for the career longevity
Yes.
in it, I think maybe that might be the obvious choice.
All right. Well, thank you for reporting on all the news in the sports world, of course. And we'll check in with you next week. Thank you, Andrew.
Sounds good.
And with that, I do want to read this message from a 고수 waiver. 저는 운동 출신이라 첫 직장에 대한 추억은 잘 느끼지 못했어요. 대신 지도자로서 첫 직장으로 뽀시래기 시절이었어서 멋부리고 갔던 기억이 납니다. So I had to ask my producer, what is 뽀시래기? So it's basically kind of like the newbie, right, of the bunch, whether it's at work or some sort of club or organization. So lots of comments about 뽀시래기 here. I see. As we are reliving our very first days. Let's see. We also have 오겹살 좋아. She says 첫 회식을 잊을 수 없네요. 윗분들 주시는 잔을 거절 못해서 무슨 정신력으로 버텼는지 새벽에 들어와서 회사 안 가겠다고 울고 막 했던 저의 어린 시절이 떠오르네요. So she went to her first company outing. There was drinking involved. You know, with a mental fortitude, she held it up. And then in the morning after, she was crying and saying, I don't want to go back to work. But yes, we've all been through that, right? That first day. All right, here is our final song for hour number 1, Fly Away by Tones and I.
I would just fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away. I've been on my own for a minute. Is it only me out there? Searching for the place to begin it. Is it me? Is it you? Is it fear? Standing on the line I was given. People stare and ask me why I'm here. No one seems to think that I fit in. But I don't wanna be like them. No, 'cause I don't wanna be like them. 'Cause I know that I had a dream that someday I would just fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away, away. I fly away. No one knew how low I was feeling. I was scared to reach for it all, knowing I was here for a reason. But I was scared that if I tried, I'd fall. So where do I go now that I'm in it? I never thought it'd be like this. Dreamed it all my life and I did it. Thought the grass was greener than it is. 'Cause I had a dream that someday I would just fly away. And I always knew I couldn't stay. So I had a dream that I'd just fly away, away. I fly away.
Your Race to the World. befm 부산 영어방송.
부산의 축제 어디까지 즐겨보셨나요?
listeners, wavers, it is now time for Issue Wagle. We have Haley back in the studio.
Good morning again.
Yes. How are you?
Doing well. Doing well. We're
Okay.
all talking outside about how the weather just has a, I don't know, it's like is weighing us down.
Yes, it is.
But
you know,
we're here.
yes, and
We're
maybe we have some interesting stories to perk up our listeners.
Oh, we do. Let's get the dopamine rolling.
Okay, here we go.
Yes, so this is one of our kind of least favorite stories or favorite to, you know, like in my case, yak about. Food-related stories where something was found inside a pot of braised short ribs that should not be there.
Oh my gosh, I saw the photo.
Yeah, I was thoroughly grossed out. So,
So we need to get the we'll get the visual up in a little bit, and you guys tell us what you think. Waivers, okay? But
All right, so according to an online community post, a kitchen sink strainer lid was found inside of 갈비찜.
how do we even say that in Korean?
배수구 싱크대 배수구 뚜껑.
Oh,
Right. Just
I don't know
that does
even know.
not mix with. I don't want to hear 배수 anything near
Your
my
food,
food.
right.
And that's oh my god. I'm
and
like,
that, so we do have the visual up now, and this is your perfect opportunity to check out our YouTube channel.
yeah.
because
yeah. I'm at a loss because
Yeah.
the thing is, listeners, the more you think about it,
It's just
the
so-
more grossed out you get because you're like, well, what did it touch before it touched my food? So this restaurant in question specializes in spicy braised short rib, and the post writer said that they found this lid inside the food on the very bottom of the pot. So presumably she ate some of this. So when she brought this to the attention of the employee apparently just took the whole pot and came out with a new one without asking the customer, well, how do you want to proceed with this?
Oh my gosh.
So the person said, you know, understandably, they lost their appetite and left without paying. I'm assuming the restaurant said you don't have to pay. But the more she thought about it, the more grossed out she became.
Yes.
And she also stated that she was with her friends who are all young women, and maybe, and this is just her conjecture, because of this, the restaurant only apologized half-heartedly. That's her perception. And also, when they asked what this was, the restaurant initially said it was a lid of a water bottle. However, when one of the friends' parents called the restaurant and kind of pressured them,
Yes.
at that point they told them it was the drain top of the kitchen sink. Yeah. So the restaurant told the press that it is actually not the lid of the drain, but the clog. I don't know what difference that makes. That they had put the clog onto the sink for cleaning, but it seems to have gone into the pot. So another issue on top of many issues in this story is that this is a food safety assured restaurant. It's 안심식당, designated by the Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs, and it was even on TV recently.
I mean, I get it. You can make mistakes, but when it comes to food, I don't accept mistakes.
No.
Not of this magnitude.
I mean,
I get it. If you're wearing
I've definitely found hair.
Yes.
I've definitely had a grape at a wine bar that had mold inside, and I brought it to the attention. And it's how you proceed with it afterwards that really matters. And so I don't know.
Well, I am not going there.
Right.
Okay. All right. Next up, this beloved show. I mean, there's a sudden change in one of the longest running music shows on TV. What's going on?
Right, so we're going to be talking about the National Singing Contest or 전국노래자랑. It's apparently been suddenly told to change its MC, Kim Sin-young. So Kim's agency told the press yesterday that the show's producers were allegedly told to change the host, and they contacted the agency, and the producers themselves were taken aback. So they were informed of the last recording, which would be in Incheon this week. So that's coming really quickly.
Okay.
Another person from the broadcasting industry said that this sudden decision is baffling for the comedian, but she just has to accept it and move on.
Okay.
So Kim Sin-young got this high-profile gig after her predecessor, late Mr. Song-hye, led the program for 34 years.
Right.
She is the fifth host for the program, the youngest and the only woman to single host the show.
Okay.
The response has been divided that Kim Sin-young was perhaps too young for the show, which is usually watched by the senior citizens, or versus we'll miss her young energy. It was kind of a chance for the show to take it to a younger position. But overall, that Song-hye, his shoes were too big to fill.
But for anybody, I would think.
Oh, for anyone.
Yes,
right.
yes. So do we know who the new MC will be?
Right. So after much speculation, KBS did confirm that comedian Nam Hee-seok has been named the new host. So it seems that the broadcasting station is trying to go back to its root demographic of senior viewers with the more household name there. Of course, these personnel shifts are very common in the entertainment industry. People, get hired and fired. But it is rare for them to come so suddenly, especially without the knowledge or consultation with the show's producers.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so the producers, as I said, they didn't really know about this until they were told from the higher-ups that were changing the MC. Yeah, so this has people wondering, well, then how far higher up did the decision come from? And by the way, this isn't the first show recently from KBS that was cut abruptly or had abrupt changes without much or any input from the producers. Also, people are kind of questioning, well, also, why is Kim Shin-young getting the boot? Because ratings hadn't been too terrible either. Of course, during Mr. Song's days, the show consistently had a 10% rating. But the rating from last week's show was 6.4%, which while it is like a 40% cut, but in this day and age of broadcasting television, not many people actually tuning in at that time, but many watching online. That's quite respectable, especially it being higher than its other rival music shows on other channels.
Well, I guess the higher-ups have decided, apparently, in this case. So, all right. Moving on. If you drive and go to the gas station to fill your tank, I do this all the time. The, 가득, the full tank option. But how often do you check the receipt? I mean, I do. Are you supposed to? Or you should? No?
I don't.
Oh.
Yeah. So this story is for the Haleys and the and the Haleys.
Okay.
So the Financial Supervisory Service, the FSS, and the Credit Finance Association issued a consumer guide regarding these full tank gas options, especially at self-service gas stations.
Yes.
But everywhere. So how these work at self-service stations is that you put the card in, you press the full tank option, the machine will charge you for a full tank, kind of like a security deposit.
Yes.
And then, of course, more often than not, your actual amount goes a little bit less. So at that point, the machine will automatically cancel that first transaction and charge you the actual amount of gas that you purchased. Here's the thing, though. Sometimes there are flukes. Sometimes your credit card or check card, in that case, debit card, did not have enough balance in your account and your card rejection is rejected. And in that case, because of this fluke, the initial transaction isn't canceled. Basically, your card rejected the cancellation as well. So the machine will still charge you the second amount of the actual gas that you purchased. That means you're double charged.
Oh, no.
So unless you check your receipt, you probably will not know it. And if you think, well, the machine's probably smarter than I am, as I often do, and you just throw away the receipt, then you just paid like $250 for a tank of gas. So if you do use this full service tank option at a self-service station, the financial authorities, they do advise you to always check the receipt.
Yes.
They're also working with the credit card companies to send customers an alert via the text message services. So the customers can be immediately notified of this. And also, if they only check this later, they would be able to call the gas stations and cancel transaction without having to go there.
I see. Well, that's definitely a good tip for everybody out there. Check your receipts when you fill up. Lastly, with Korea becoming an aging society, these so-called silver towns have becoming a booming business as of late. But apparently there is a lot to consider before you sign up for these kind of like very posh, like luxury post-retirement services.
Right. So number one, these silver towns may be personally owned, sort of a co-op style. They could be allowed in Korea soon. So basically, as of 2015, these silver towns, so these are kind of full service assisted senior homes, they're only allowed on rental basis. So you have to have just one operator and renting these out to individuals. But because of the increase in demand from rapid aging, supply has been short. Especially these business operators, they do have high initial costs.
Yes.
So the government's coming up with ways to ease this initial burden to pave the way for more silver towns, and specific measures will be announced in May. So we'll to keep our eyes out for that.
Sure.
So these senior assisted living facilities, they've been growing recently, advertised as kind of a luxurious way to live your silver years.
Yes.
But apparently, according to research, most seniors prefer to age in place, basically stay in their homes.
I see.
And this is according to Kyung University's Digital New Aging Institute survey. 86% of seniors who are in good health prefer to continue living in their current home. Even 75% of those who are not in good health said that they prefer to age in place while getting assistance at their homes.
I see.
So it's not just the home, but the community and being in a place that you're familiar with.
Well, I also want to address if there are possible issues or problems with these so-called silver towns.
Right. So these are mostly minor. There haven't been any legal issues or health issues, but there are multiple reports detailing kind of social problems of people who live or lived in these assisted senior facilities, even the luxury one. So their basic needs are met, food, health checkups, housing. But seniors say that they grow tired of being in the same environment with the same exact group of people with whom they don't have much in common. It's kind of like a dormitory.
Yeah.
Right. So
I get
the
it.
only common factor is basically your age.
Right.
There are even stories of cliques being formed and kind of social hierarchies. Of course, there are happy stories, but this is a kind of a lesson that it may not be a perfect solution for everyone.
That's
and
true.
some people do prefer to stay in their own neighborhood. It's certainly something that we should all consider.
Indeed. Well, thank you for going over all the hot issues, and we'll check in with you tomorrow. Thank you, Haley.
Have a great day.
And now Annie, she is joining us for our updated traffic and weather.
Good morning again, everyone. It is currently 8:17 a.m. and here's your updated weather and traffic. So the roads are quite busy. There is congestion on Mandokdaero from Sukdeung intersection to Deokjeon intersection. It's also busy on Jungangdaero from Sojongcheon intersection to Bugok intersection. And likewise, it's backed up on Dongso overpass from Gamjeon interchange to the old Daegum tollgate. So as always, please drive safe. If we look over to the weather, current temperatures are averaging 7 degrees Celsius, with afternoon highs expected to go up to 8 degrees Celsius today. And again, it is a wet morning, and the rain is expected to continue throughout the entire day. So definitely, it's an umbrella day. This is hopefully the Earth signaling an entrance into spring. So let's power through and wait for the spring flowers to bloom. That's all for now. Let's hand it back to Catherine.
How about this one? You've Got a Friend in Me by Michael Bublé.
You got a friend in me. You've got a friend in me. When the road looks rough ahead and you're miles and miles from your nice warm bed, you just remember what your old pal said. Yeah, you've got a friend in me. Baby, you've got a friend in me. You got a pal in me. You've got a friend in me. You got your troubles, well, I got them too. There isn't anything I wouldn't do for you. We stick together and see it through, 'cause you got a friend in me. Darling, you got a friend in me. Now some of the boys might be a little smarter than I am, or bigger and stronger too. Maybe, but none of them is ever gonna love you the way I do. Oh, it's me and you, Lou. And as the years go by, our friendship will never die. You're gonna see it's a destiny, 'cause you've got a friend in me. My baby, you've got a friend in me. Now some of the boys might be a little smarter than I am, bigger and stronger too. Maybe none of them is ever gonna love you the way I do. 'Cause it's me and you. And as the years go by, our love will never die. You're gonna see it's our destiny. You got friend in me, baby, you've got friend in me. You, me, you and me. You got friend in me, my darling. You got a friend in me.
Welcome back, everybody. I love that song, any version of it. It's time for a text topic one last time before a special interview. We are talking about first days at school, at work, or how about this one from one of our listeners? We have, I believe it was Junwon, right? I'm looking for the message right now. Junwon Waver, who says the most memorable first day was absolutely the first day in the military. There's no day I've missed my mom more than that one. I didn't even think about that one. First day of being enlisted in the military service, which is compulsory here in Korea. Assuming that you're an able-bodied person and male, you have to serve. I'm sure that's a harsh reality from like the warmth and love of your home and especially your mom. And on days like that, you sure do miss your mom, right? What about Joy Waver, 초1 입학식 진짠 손수건 달고 있었는데. 손수건, you had a handkerchief. I'm trying to think why. I know handkerchiefs are kind of a thing of the past, but trying to figure out maybe your mom or your grandma or maybe your dad gave that to you to kind of hold on to a handkerchief. 태진 클럽 웨이버, 대학교 신입생 때 남중 남고 졸업. 여자친구 생겼으면 좋겠다 하며 한껏 멋부리고 학교 간 기억이 나네요. Ooh, so he talks about since he went to an all male, a boys middle school and high school, he was really excited about first day of university where it's obviously co-ed and there were going to be females there, and he wanted to go make a girlfriend, and he kind of dressed up for the occasion. First day of class, that's always a very special memory. And what about 최윤정 웨이버, 처음 출근했을 때 너무 긴장했던 기억이 학교 다닐 때는 설레이는 마음이 다였는데 회사랑 학교 확실히 달라요. Oh, she brings up an interesting point. When she first went to her first day of her job, she was really, really nervous. When she looks back on first days of school, it was more of an excitement, looking forward to it, and saying definitely school and work are quite different. All right, I'll be back in just a moment with our special interview. As you well know, waivers, South Korea's record birth rate has been making headlines around the world for such a long time now, and Statistics Korea just released the birth rates for 2023, revealing the grim number. Remember, we used to be at 0.78. Now we're at 0.72. So this had the number of live births fall below 240,000 for the first time in the history of South Korea. So these alarming numbers are spurring foreign outlets, even in the BBC and other outlets, to investigate why South Korean women just are not having babies. we are drawing worldwide attention. What does this mean for our future as a society, as a people, as a country? To help us better understand the demographics here, we have invited Professor David Coleman, who is Emeritus Professor of Demography in the University of Oxford and Research Associate of the Department of Social Policy and Intervention. He's also been warning of South Korea's population extinction for some years. Let's say hi to him. Hi, Professor. Thanks for joining us.
Hello, good morning.
Yes, so if you could help us understand just how significant this birth rate of 0.72 is, can you help us understand?
Well, I wish I could fully understand it myself, but the implications are very clear. If this birth rate continues at the present rate, the population will halve by about the year 2070, and then it will halve again with the same interval of time, and really get rather small. While at the same time, as the population declines, the age structure will become very unfavorable for the economy and for individuals who belong to it. By about 2070, each person of working age will be responsible for looking after two people of retired age, which is going to be quite problematic.
Yes.
I don't think this will happen, but that is the implication of the continuation of the current rates.
And Professor, this 0.72 rate, how does it compare to other countries right now?
Well, as far as I know, it's clearly the lowest in the world. The countries, the industrial rich countries of East Asia are all fairly low fertility countries. Japan is about 1.4. Taiwan is about 1. Hong Kong, perhaps a bit less than that. So you all share the same syndrome of being extremely rich, extremely modern, and having terrible birth rates.
Indeed. There are similarities. Well, you, I hear for many years, Professor, have warned of the possibility that, South Korea may disappear due to this dire birth rate alone. But can you elaborate on this? Are we talking about possible extinction?
Well, that would be an extreme interpretation.
Yes.
I made that comment, which remains true, that if the vital rates in Korea remain at their present level or get worse, as they have done, then the inevitable consequence, in the absence of large-scale migration, will be the population will get smaller and smaller and smaller, and eventually, in the long run, disappear. I don't believe for one moment that will happen. I think the people and the government of Korea are too wise to allow that to happen. Nonetheless, you've got to do something to stop the birth rate going down quite so far and quite so fast.
And from your expert opinion, what do you think are the main reasons or culprits that South Korea faces such a rapid decline? As you mentioned, Korea, along with some of the richest countries, especially in Asia, are facing similar issues.
If I could give an adequate answer to that, I would deserve a Nobel Prize. There isn't one in demography, unfortunately. So all I can say is what your own very wise experts have been saying, I think, for some time. That is to say that the pace of economic development in Korea has been meteoric, from more or less zero in 1950 up to this world-beating performance which you put on at the moment. But your social structures and social attitudes, especially in relation to marriage and women, have not kept pace with that. It's very difficult for them to keep pace with that because the economic change has been so rapid. Social change has not been so rapid. Women still, it seems to me, as an ignorant outsider, have a very disadvantaged position, particularly in the sense of marriage being unattractive. Because of the long working hours, the powerful work culture, the obsession with exam results for children,
yes.
which is, I guess, unique in the world, but similar in a way to that in Japan, and various institutional obstacles in the way of women doing it their own way. in the rich countries of the world, there is no country with a birth rate which is reasonably robust and which will give a reasonable level of dependency in its age structure, which doesn't have at least 1 in 2 births outside marriage. Now, that may sound terrible to a Korean audience. Births outside marriage are, as far as I can see, a big no-no. Cohabitation is frowned on. But if women can't make their domestic arrangements and have their children in circumstances that they want, which may not include marriage, which seems in some respects to be unattractive, then they're not going to have any children, or not going to have very many children. And I think, essentially, some crucial aspects of Korean culture will have to change quite radically before the birth rate can recover. I say that with all due humility as an ignorant outsider.
Yes. So, Professor, the Korean government has been coming up for several years now. It's not just this administration, but the previous ones as well, trying to come up with many kind of these incentivized programs and policies and financial support and aid to encourage people to have children. But do you think that that's really what people are looking for, especially women, in terms of, monetary incentives? Or do you think there, as you kind of alluded to, there needs to be more of a fundamental change in the societal structure?
I think so. The Korean government has thrown gigantic amounts of money at the birth rate to remarkably little effect. In fact, it keeps on going down. It's wrong to regard women as slot machines into which you can pour money and get babies out in return. It's a question of making married life or life with a partner, married or not, attractive and tolerable on an equal basis. And as far as I can see from the statistics, married couples do not have an equal partnership. The man works far too hard and stays out far too late. Women do the childcare, the cleaning, as well as aspiring to have a job of their own in ways which were not thought of decades ago. I'm sorry, that's a very crude generalization, but that's how it seems to the outsider. Women have a bad deal when they're married, therefore they don't get married, and if you aren't married, you can't have children, therefore there aren't very many children. That's all that's got to change.
Yes. Well, it does seem also that South Korea is well on its path to joining the likes of Japan and Germany as a super-aged society. So what are some of the issues that arise with a rapidly aging society?
Well, Korea will in due course, if things carry on as they are, become much more aged than Germany. Germany will bumble along at its present rate and is just about manageable. I don't think it's manageable if the support ratio in Korea is down to 0.5, which is where it's heading by mid-century. That is to say that every person of working age will have 2 dependents to support. Even if you defer pension age and improve productivity, that's very, very difficult to cope with economically. But I don't think it'll get to that because you're bound to come to some solution, either by encouraging immigration on a very large scale, which I think would be difficult and not necessarily advisable, or by changing Korean culture. Either way, staying Korean in its present form doesn't seem to be an option, if I may say so.
Yes. Well, are there any countries that you know of that have recovered from these types of statistics, like from whether it's the demographic aging or the rapid decline in birth rate? Any countries that have turned it around?
They've never got this bad before, and this development in the rest of the developed world is relatively new.
Yes.
And so we haven't had very much time to see what happens. But certainly in the past, birth rates have gone up as well as down. For example, in England, the birth rate in the year 2000 was equivalent to about 1.6 children. By 10 years ago, it was up to 1.9, which is much more satisfactory. Now it's gone down to 1.5, which is the lowest ever. there are all sorts of good reasons why this should be so, but it is not. This is a short-term measure and a very volatile one. And just because it's low now doesn't mean to say it's got to stay low forever, because we've been here before, or nearly here before.
Yes. Well, I do want to thank you for your expertise on this matter. And thank you so much for coming on air with us. I know it's very late in the UK right now, so thank you once again.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. This was Professor David Coleman, everybody, who's an expert on demographics. And of the many things that he said to me bluntly, but, you know, it needs to be said, this one thing that he said really stood out to me. Women are not slot machines. You can't throw money at them and expect to get a baby. His words, not mine, but I don't know. Is that what we're doing in terms of policies here in Korea? Something that I guess we need to think about. Societal changes need to be made first, as he alluded to and said straight out as well. So there was your special interview. All right, we need a breather after this one. Food for thought. How about this one? Oh, long one for you. 거꾸로 강을 거슬러 오르는 저 힘찬 연어들처럼 by 강산에.
부서진 그대 두려워 말아요 거꾸로 밤을 거슬러 오르는 저 힘찬 연어들처럼 걸어가다 보면 걸어가다 보면 걸어가다 보면
You're now listening to the world's most reliable morning show, Morning Wave in Busan with Catherine. Text in to BEFM # 9050 for 101. You can also reach us for free through our YouTube live stream or on Kakao Talk. Begin your morning with Catherine, and don't forget to reboot your day after lunch. Stay tuned for Steve Hatherley Reboot every day from 2 to 4 p.m.
Guess what, everybody? We have Bonnie. She is back.
Hello.
Oh my gosh.
So
Who
good
are
to
you?
be here.
Stranger.
I know.
I hope you have been well.
Yes. I feel refreshed. I had a nice little hiatus back in California, so I got a lot of sunshine.
Good. Hey, today we're talking about firsts, like first day of school, first day on the job. Like, do you remember, like, pick any day of firsts, and kind of describe what you were feeling, whether it's first day of school.
I had my first day in Korea.
Oh, tell us about
at
that.
my first job here, and I felt like a high schooler again because I didn't know anybody and I wanted people to like me, and I moved to Korea without having any friends. I have my like 70-year-old aunts and uncles, but nobody my age.
Right.
So I was really nervous, and I was trying to like introduce myself to everybody, but everybody already kind of knew each other.
You were like the new kid.
Yeah, and I felt like, oh, this is like high school. This is what the new kids felt like in high school or just any kind of school when you're the new kid and nobody really wants to talk to you.
Oh no.
And then someone gets forced to show you around.
And how did that go?
It went well. It took me a couple of weeks to kind of get used to everybody.
And acclimated, right?
Yeah, but I felt that at first. I was like, oh, I haven't felt this way in so long. Like being in your 30s and then starting high school all over again. It was such a weird feeling, but yeah, it worked out well. I have friends now. Don't worry.
Bonnie is so friendly. She does not lack friends. All right. Well, what is our topic for the health today?
Okay, so today I wanted to do something that's I've been noticing actually around Korea is a little bit more prevalent.
Okay.
The other day I was at the beach, and if you haven't noticed, it's a little cold outside.
Just a little.
Especially for the people that aren't from here. If you're used to warmer weather, it's freezing.
Yes.
Like bone-chilling freezing. And I was at the beach, and I saw people walking barefoot, not just in the sand, but in the water. Like
in the water.
Freezing cold.
Ooh.
And it was really windy that day, too. So everyone's really bundled up, but a lot of people were walking barefoot. And I thought this was so interesting because this is something that I've known about for a while, but I didn't really see a lot of people doing. And it's grounding.
Yes.
It's called grounding or earthing. And I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard about it.
Sure.
Or you've seen some people do it, but I've seen a lot more people doing it recently. So I was kind of wondering if there maybe more information has been out there, or maybe this is trending.
Sure.
You know, a lot of things in Korea like to trend. But I wanted to bring it here so that you guys can kind of learn about the scientific background and why this is so good for us. And maybe this is something that you can incorporate into your daily routine.
All right.
So I like to talk about things like not just taking your vitamins, not just getting exercise, but little things that you can do to really boost your mental health and your physical health that you can incorporate And that's pretty easy.
Yes.
I think this is pretty easy.
Okay, let's get into it.
So grounding is, if you don't know, any kind of contact with the surface of the earth. So any kind of skin to surface contact. So this might be on the forest ground, the dirt, maybe sand at the beach, maybe grass at the park, or even just being submerged in any kind of water, natural water. So you're connecting your body to the natural electrical charge from the earth, and this has been known to give many health benefits. So a lot of your nervous systems in the body get to be regulated, and so many health benefits that actually can be sustainable, like long-lasting benefits.
Okay.
So I'm going to go over some of the benefits here, and one of them is it can help regulate your internal clock. So it can really help with your sleep, to regulate your sleep. So it can regulate the circadian rhythm, and it's been known to improve your sleep length and actually help reduce sleep disturbances. So if you have any kind of insomnia or you have trouble sleeping at night, or this is something that you've developed, some people in age, in older years, can develop insomnia.
Yes.
Go outside and just walk on the earth barefoot every day for at least maybe 30 minutes or so. And this can actually really help your sleep at night.
Okay. That's doable. Yeah.
Another one is activating your parasympathetic nervous system. So if you don't know, that helps lower your heart rate, enables you to relax, can also balance your nervous system. And this can help to reduce your stress and stabilize your cortisol levels.
Okay.
And this puts you in just a better mood. If you do this at the beginning of the day, you'll find yourself maybe a little happier throughout the day, and it can help reduce anxiety or depression. So if you're somebody that suffers from maybe panic attacks, or you get anxious really easily in situations, try doing this a little bit every day.
I have a question for you from Umberto. He says, grounding daily routine as going to the beach, or what about just like a rain puddle? Because we have a few of those right now.
Yes. I mean, if you're somebody who wants to go outside during this kind of weather, definitely. So anytime that your feet are touching the ground, but not concrete, you're going to get less electrical charge from a man-made surface.
Sure.
So you want to go out to the earth.
The earth.
Yes.
Like grass.
Yeah. But I mean, if the puddle is big enough,
I guess technically
you can submerge a majority of your body in the rainwater.
Yes.
Then sure, that's better than nothing.
Okay. All right, let's continue.
Yes, so something else that is beneficial is it helps reduce inflammation. So in a lot of cases, it can actually speed up wound healing. And this is really interesting.
Okay.
So a study actually measured the amount of white blood cells in participants after they had a really hard workout.
Okay.
The ones who grounded afterwards had a higher white blood cell count, which indicates fast recovery, and they reported less muscle pain and soreness.
Yeah, so this is not just like us being, like goody-feely kind of, just, our interpretation of what grounding may be.
Yeah.
So, Bonnie's bringing us actual studies and surveys and stuff.
Yeah, so this is not just if you're working out and you have sore muscles, but if you have an injury of some sort, or you're recovering some sort of pain, or like a bodily injury.
Right.
And you're able to walk outside or make contact with the earth, this can actually help up recovery.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah. So this is a big one too. This helps with cardiovascular health and reduces high blood pressure. So a small study on heart health took blood measurements, and after grounding, the participants had more red blood cell fluidity, and this plays a big role in heart health. So this can result in significantly less red blood cell clumping after grounding. So this can really help reduce your chances of heart disease or risk of heart attacks.
So, I mean, I don't know. Leslie also chiming in. I literally have a favorite tree in the park I go and hug when I get stressed out.
Oh, yes.
So if you're doing it barefoot, it's probably even better, right?
Yeah, or hug the tree for just 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Just make sure you get your full time in there. But yeah, the earth, nature kind of gives off an electrical charge. So that's what we're trying to connect with, and that's what we're trying to bring the benefits into our body.
Okay.
So any way that you can get contact is going to be beneficial.
Sure. What else?
So you want to be doing this for about 30 minutes a day. That's how you can have long, sustainable change within your body.
So it's not a one-time thing, like a one-off.
Yeah, I mean, if you're feeling down though, and you go outside and you ground, it will boost
you, right?
Yeah, it will boost your mood and it will make you feel a little better. But if you want to see the long-lasting changes and really get a lot of health benefits from it, doing it every day is
30
the
minutes.
answer.
Okay. Well, let's talk about the different ways we can ground.
Yes. So you can ground either walking barefoot, like I said, on the earth. So maybe in your local park. So on the grass counts. So any kind of dirt.
Yes.
Any kind of sand at the beach. And you want your skin to be touching the surface. So obviously doing it barefoot, taking your socks off. A lot of parks in Korea now have like a grounding area that you can walk in. So it's kind of like a path, if you see, that's been leveled out. And it looks almost kind of like they have red clay ones. They have ones with rocks that you can kind of acupuncture, use as acupuncture on your feet. So those are little grounding areas, particularly for this. You can also ground by lying on the ground. This is a great way because the more surface area of your body that can have contact with the ground, the better. So if it's nicer weather outside, wear shorts and short sleeves.
Rolling around.
Yeah, for the really brave, maybe.
Just in bare toe.
Yeah. But you want to lie down on the ground. So lying down in a park or lying down on the sand at the beach. May, of course, do this safely where there's not a lot of foot traffic or bikes or be aware of your surroundings, of where you're doing the grounding and making sure that you're not in anybody's way.
Don't get trampled on.
Yeah, but any way that you can just relax, and that will really benefit you. And also another way is submersing yourself in water.
Like how?
So this might be in a lake or at the ocean, even. In Korea, a lot of people in the summertime like to go to creeks.
Yes.
Go to a local kegguk and you can submerge your body in the rushing water. That's great too.
Yes.
And that's nice and cooling also in the summertime.
That sounds so nice right now.
Yeah. So if you cannot get to any one of these places, maybe you have a tough time, maybe you're not living near something like this, the nature, you're in the city, or maybe like a day like today, you're not feeling like you want to go outside and lay in the rain for 30 minutes. There actually is grounding equipment that you can get.
Equipment? They have grounding equipment?
Yes.
I gotta hear this. Okay.
Modern day society, we have figured out a way to bring the grounding to
bring
you.
It on.
So there are grounding blankets, there are grounding mats, there's actually grounding socks and bands and patches that you can wear, and they emit the same kind of electrical charge that the ground and the earth would give you. So,
but I would assume the nature, the natural way is probably better, right?
And obviously there are many more benefits to grounding outside in nature. Of course, just getting outside, of course, breathing in fresh air, and then connecting obviously with the environment around you, and getting exercise. If you're walking around barefoot, of course, you're getting a little bit of exercise in there. So those are the obvious benefits. But if you cannot do these things, then there are these awesome things that you can get inside your home, and you can practice grounding at the comfort of your bed.
I like it. This is so doable for anybody out there. And yes, Umberto, we see your wet socks are grounding. 오겹살 좋아 waver saying, sounds so peaceful. And Leslie mentioning, in Denmark, they go winter bathing. They jump into the ocean. It's a thing. Yeah, I know they have like the polar bear swim here in Busan. I've watched, not participated, but,
Maybe one day?
I don't know. Because I don't know. They're freezing cold water. I don't know.
Well, that's why I was so surprised at people at the beach in this weather
that were doing it.
That. Yeah, but they actually had also these things that were like made of plastic that covered their whole calf. So it covered their pants so that they were able to walk in the water without getting wet.
They have contraptions for that?
Yeah.
I mean, normally we just like roll up the pants.
Yeah, but these were serious grounders. Like they knew what they were doing. So they had all the gear. Yeah. So, I mean, of course, it's great to get out in nature, but there are all these other health benefits. If you, like I said, insomnia, if you have pain, wounds, something that you're trying to heal, get out there, especially for older people that might have trouble sleeping, or if you're concerned about heart health, because high blood pressure is something you want to be aware of.
Well, thank you so much. And it's great to have you back, Bonnie, and we'll check in with you next week.
So great to be back. Thank you so much.
Everybody, this was Bonnie with The Health. It is time to wrap things up for today already, so I wish you well. Be safe and warm and dry. Here is 같이 걸을까 Ooh, how about that one? Let's walk together. Shall we walk together by Lee-Jug. Enjoy. I'll be back tomorrow. Bye, everybody.
피곤하면 잠깐 쉬어가 갈 길은 아직 머니까 물이라도 한 잔 마실까 우린 이미 오래 먼 길을 걸어온 사람들이니까 높은 산을 오르고 거친 강을 건너고 깊은 골짜기를 넘어서 생의 끝자락이 닿을 곳으로 오늘도 길을 잃은 때도 있었지 쓰러진 적도 있었지 그러던 때마다 서로 다가와 좁은 어깨라도 내주어 다시 무릎에 힘을 넣어 높은 산을 오르고 거친 강을 건너고 깊은 골짜기를 넘어서 생의 끝자락이 닿을 곳으로 오늘도 어느 곳에 있을까 그 어디로 향하는 걸까 누구에게 물어도 모른 채 다시 일어나 산을 오르고 강을 건너고 골짜기를 넘어서